Okay, tonight is the 18th of August, and this is the second night we are speaking on the Itivuttaka. We come to chapter 3, Tikkanipata, chapter of the trees, 3.1, Mula Sutta. This was said by the Lord, monks, there are these three unwholesome roots. What three? The unwholesome root greed, the unwholesome root hatred, and the unwholesome root delusion. These are the three. Greed, hatred, and delusion, arisen from within himself, harms an evil-minded person as its own fruit destroys the bamboo tree. Normally you see the fruit destroys the banana tree, because when the banana gives off the fruit, then we will chop it down. 3.2 Dhatu Sutta. This was said by the Lord. Monks, there are these three elements. What three? The form element, the formless element, and the element of cessation. These are the three. By fully understanding the form element without getting stuck in the formless, they are released into cessation and leave death far behind them. Having touched with his own person the deathless element free from clinging, having realized the relinquishment of clinging, his asavas all gone, the fully enlightened one proclaims the sorrowless state that is void of stain. This form element can refer to the form realm, understanding the form realm and not getting stuck in the formless. Release into cessation. Cessation normally refers to cessation of perception and feeling. 3.3 Patama Vedana Sutta. Monks, there are these three feelings. What three? Pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither pleasant nor painful feeling. These are the three. A disciple of the Buddha, concentrated, clearly comprehending, and mindful, knows feelings and the origin of feelings, where they cease and the path that leads to their full destruction. With the destruction of feelings, a monk without longing has attained Nibbana. 3.4 Duttiya Vedana Sutta. Monks, there are these three feelings. What three? Pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither pleasant nor painful feeling. Pleasant feeling, monks, should be seen as suffering. Painful feeling should be seen as a dart. Neither pleasant nor painful feeling should be seen as impermanent. When a monk has seen these three feelings thus, he is said to be a noble one who sees rightly. He has cut off craving, destroyed the fetters, and thoroughly understanding conceit, he has made an end of suffering. One sees pleasure as suffering, and sees pain as a dart. One sees as impermanent the peaceful feeling that is neither pleasant nor painful. Such a monk who sees rightly is thereby well released, accomplished in knowledge, at peace, that sage has overcome all bonds. Now, why does he say here that pleasant feeling should be seen as suffering? Because pleasant feeling will change. You enjoy pleasant feeling, but when it changes, then you miss it. It is suffering. So because of that danger, you see it as suffering. Painful feeling is something that pokes you, so you see it as a dart. 3.5 Monks, there are these three kinds of search. What three? The search for sensual gratification, the search for being, and the search for a holy life. These are the three. A disciple of the Buddha, concentrated, clearly comprehending and mindful, knows searches and the origin of searches, where they cease and the path that leads to their full destruction. With the destruction of searches, a monk without longing has attained Nibbana. This word search, you can also say quest. Quest for sensual pleasures, quest for being, to be reborn again, and quest in the holy life to attain liberation. 3.6 Duttiya Esana Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of search. sensual search, the search for being, the search for a holy life of one who takes his stand upon a view and holds it tightly as the truth. These are heapings of defilements. For among wholly dispassionate and freed by the destruction of craving, searches have been relinquished and uprooted the standpoint of views. With the destruction of searches, among is free from desire and doubt. In the first sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, when he strove too hard, he was whirled about, and when he stood still, he sank. So without striving too hard and without standing still, he crossed the flood. Even in the holy life, if the desire to become liberated is too great, then we strive too hard, we won't get what we want. So we have to let go of the desire. Let's do the work. 3.7 Patama Asava Sutta. Monks, there are these three asavas. What three? The asava of sensual desire, the asava of being, and the asava of ignorance. These are the three. A disciple of the Buddha, concentrated, clearly comprehending and mindful, knows the asavas or taints, and the origin of asavas, where they cease, and the path that leads to their full destruction. With the destruction of the asavas, a monk without longing has attained nibbana. This word asava, when a monk attains destruction of the asavas, he becomes enlightened. So asava is a tendency of the mind to flow. Basically, the tendency of the word asava literally means leakage. Some people say it's outflow, some people say it's inflow. Basically, it means leakage. So, I think it's a leakage of the mind, the flow of consciousness, because the consciousness creates the world. I like to translate asava as uncontrolled mental outflows. It is this flow of the mind, the flow of consciousness that creates the world. So when you destroy the uncontrolled mental outflows, then this tendency of the mind to flow is stopped. So when a person attains destruction of the asavas, that is liberation. And arhan is called kinasava, one who has destroyed the asavas. So because of stopping the tendency of the mind to flow, when an arahant passes away, then the consciousness does not flow again, and so he enters nibbana. 3.8 Dutiya Asava Sutta. Monks, there are these three taints or asavas. One for whom the asava of desire for sensual pleasures has been destroyed, who has eliminated ignorance and exhausted the asava of being. Such a one is released without clinging. Having conquered Mara and his mount, he bears his final body. Another kind of implication of the word asava is the defilements. Defilements of desire, sensual desire, being, ignorance, and views. Sometimes they add one more, is views. 3.9 Tanha Sutta. Tanha is craving. Monks, there are these three cravings. What three? The craving for sensual pleasures, the craving for being, and the craving for non-being. These are the three. Those fettered by the bond of craving, whose minds delight in being this or that, are people in the bondage of Mara, who enjoy no security from bondage. Such beings continue in samsara, going on from birth to death. But those who have abandoned craving, free from craving for being this or that, having attained the asava's destruction, though in the world have gone beyond. 3.10 Maradeya Sutta. Monks, being in possession of three things, a monk has passed beyond the domain of Mara and shines like the sun. What are the three? Herein a monk is in possession of the non-learner's aggregate of virtue, sila, the non-learner's aggregate of concentration, samadhi, and the non-learner's aggregate of wisdom, panya. These are the three things in possession of which a monk has passed beyond the domain of Mara and shines like the sun. Virtue, concentration and wisdom, one in whom these are fully developed, on passing beyond Mara's domain, shines forth like the sun. This non-learner refers to the Arahant who has nothing to learn anymore. He has attained liberation. And these three things, sila, samadhi and panya, virtue, concentration and wisdom, are three things that are also found in the Noble Eightfold Path. The 8 factors can be divided into these 3 sections also. 3.11 Punya Kiriya Vattu Sutta. Monks, there are these 3 grounds for making merit. What 3? The ground for making merit consisting in giving, dana. The ground for making merit consisting in virtue, sila. And the ground for making merit consisting in mind development, bhavana. These are the 3. One should train in deeds of merit that yield long-lasting happiness, generosity, a balanced mind, developing a loving mind. By cultivating these 3 things, deeds yielding happiness, the wise person is reborn in bliss, in an untroubled, happy world. The other day we read that the Buddha said in the past he developed these 3 things and he was reborn in the 2nd jhana, heaven. And after a long time there, he became Mahabrahma in the 1st jhana, heaven. And from there he came down to the human realm and became Sakadeva Raja many times, and also a universal monarch many times. So these 3 things is the basis of blessings or merit, silas, dana, sila, bhavana. This word bhavana, development of the mind, refers to getting rid of the 5 hindrances. When we get rid of the 5 hindrances, then the Buddha says that we see and know clearly. There are some suttas we went through last year in the Majjhima Nikaya, and these Brahmins came to argue with the Buddha. And then the Buddha told Pokarasati's disciple, the Brahmin, that your teacher is fettered is by the 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances envelop him. How can he see and know things as they really are? So it's very clear that we have to develop our mind means that getting rid of the 5 hindrances. Only then we can see and know things clearly as they really are. 3.12 Chakku Sutta. Monks, there are these 3 eyes. What 3? The flesh eye, the divine eye or heavenly eye, and the wisdom eye. These monks are the 3 eyes. The fleshly eye or flesh eye, divine eye, and the unsurpassed wisdom eye. These 3 eyes were described by the Buddha, supreme among men. The arising of the fleshly eye is the path to the divine eye, but the unsurpassed wisdom eye is that from which knowledge arises. By obtaining such an eye, one is released from all suffering. So the flesh eye is what we have. The divine eye is what somebody who attains the psychic powers can develop. With the divine eye or heavenly eye, you can see spiritual beings. But the eye of knowledge is the wisdom eye. When you learn the Dhamma and you attain wisdom, that is different. 3.13 Indriya Sutta. Monks, there are these 3 faculties. What 3? The faculty of the assurance, I shall come to finally know what is as yet not finally known. The faculty of final knowledge and the faculty of one who has finally known. These monks are the 3 faculties. For a learner who is training in conformity with the direct path, the knowledge of destruction arises first, and final knowledge immediately follows. Freed by that final knowledge, by destroying the fetters of being, the serene one has the certainty, unshakable is my release. Endowed with this faculty, the peaceful one delights in the peaceful state. Having conquered Mara and his mount, he bears his final body. This first one, faculty of the assurance, I shall come to finally know what is as yet not finally known. This can refer to the learner. The learner is an Arya who has not attained Arahanthood, not attained full liberation. He has only attained partial liberation. So he knows that he will come to finally know, he will finally become enlightened. And the faculty of final knowledge, refers to the final knowledge. And the faculty of one who has finally known is the person who has become liberated. 3.14 Adda Sutta. Monks, there are these three times. What three? Past time, future time, and present time. These monks are the three times. Perceiving what can be expressed through concepts, beings take their stand on what is expressed. Not fully understanding the expressed, they come under the bondage of death. But by fully understanding what is expressed, one does not misconceive the speaker. His mind has attained to freedom, the unsurpassed state of peace. Understanding what is expressed, the peaceful one delights in the peaceful state. Standing on Dhamma, perfect in knowledge, he freely makes use of concepts, but no more enters into concepts range. So you see sometimes like the Buddha, he talks about I, he refers to himself as the Buddha or the Tathagata, but that is just a concept. It also refers to other beings. But some people ask, the Buddha has no self, why does he talk as though he's got a self? Because when he talks to people, he has to use worldly expressions. 3.15 Duccharita Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of misconduct. What are the three? Misconduct by body, by speech, and by mind. These are the three. Having performed misconduct by body, misconduct by speech, misconduct by mind, and whatever else is reckoned a fault. Not having done a good deed and done much that is bad, when his body perishes, that foolish one is reborn in hell. Buddha says there are 10 types of misconduct. 3 by body, 4 by speech, and 3 by mind. Body means, misconduct by body means killing, taking what is not given, and sexual misconduct. Speech refers to lying, carrying tales to cause disharmony, coarse or vulgar speech, and idle gossip. And misconduct by mind refers to avariciousness, excessive greed, ill will or anger, and wrong view, not believing in karma vipaka, basically. 3.16 Sucharita Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of good conduct. What are the three? Good conduct by body, good conduct by speech, and good conduct by mind. These are the three. Having abandoned misconduct by body, by speech, and by mind, and whatever else is reckoned a fault, not having done a bad deed and done much that is good, when his body perishes, that wise one is reborn in heaven. So this good conduct is abstaining from wrong conduct, the 10 types. 3.17 Socheya Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of purity. What are the three? Purity of body, purity of speech, and purity of mind. These are the three. Bodily pure, pure of speech, mentally pure and taintless. A pure one possessing such purity is called one who has abandoned all. Three kinds of purity, body, speech, and mind, can refer to the pure conduct of body, speech, and mind. 3.18 Monia Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of perfection. What are the three? Perfection of body, perfection of speech, and perfection of mind. These are the three. Bodily perfect, perfect of speech, mentally perfect and taintless. A sage possessing such perfection is called one cleansed of evil. So this should refer to perfection of body conduct, perfection of speech, and perfection of perfection of mind. Could be a person who has attained wisdom. 3.19 Patama Raga Sutta. Monks, one in whom attachment is not abandoned, hate is not abandoned, and delusion not abandoned, is said to be in the bondage of Mara. He is caught in Mara's noose and at the mercy of the evil one. Monks, one in whom attachment is abandoned, hate is abandoned, and delusion is abandoned, is said to be free from the bondage of Mara. He has cast off Mara's noose and is not at the mercy of the evil one. One who has destroyed the attachment along with hate and ignorance is called one inwardly developed. A Tathagata becomes supreme, awakened, past enmity and fear, one who has abandoned all. These three things here says attachment, hatred, and delusion. Probably in other places is translated as passion, raga, or lust, hatred, and delusion. These are the three poisons. When you abandon these three things, you become liberated. 3.20 Duttiya Raga Sutta. Monks, any monk or nun in whom attachment is not abandoned, hatred is not abandoned, and delusion is not abandoned, is said to be one who has not crossed the ocean with its waves, breakers and eddies, with its sharks and demons. But any monk or nun in whom attachment or lust is abandoned, hatred is abandoned, and delusion is abandoned, is said to be one who has crossed the ocean with its waves, breakers and eddies, its sharks and demons, one of whom it is said, crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahmana stands on dry ground. One who has destroyed attachment or lust along with hate and delusion has crossed this ocean with its sharks and demons, its fearful waves so hard to cross. He has surmounted every tie, left death behind, become free from clinging, forsaken suffering and renewal of being. Vanished, he cannot be defined, I say. He has bewildered the king of death. He said to be vanished because he has lost the self. The self is destroyed, so you cannot see him. 3.21 Itivuttaka Sutta. Monks, I have seen beings who practice misconduct by body, speech and mind, who vilify the noble ones, who hold wrong view and perform various deeds because of their wrong view. When the body perishes, those beings are reborn after death in a state of misery, a bad born, a state of ruin in hell. I say this, monks, without having learnt it from another recluse or Brahmin. It is because I myself have known it, seen it, and observed it that I say, monks, I have seen beings who practice misconduct by body, speech, and mind, reborn after death in a state of misery in hell. An individual here with a wrongly directed mind, who utters wrong speech and performs wrong deeds, one of little learning, who does demerit in this short life, upon the perishing of the body, that foolish one is reborn in hell. Here when the Buddha says one of little learning, it does not mean scholarly learning. It does not mean going to school or going to university. It means learning the Dhamma. Sometimes the Buddha says that two Pali words, one is Bahu Sutta, one is Bahu Sacca. Bahu Sutta is much hearing of the Dhamma. Bahu Sacca is much truth, much knowledge of the truths, much knowledge of the truths. The truths refer to the Dhamma. So if a person does not listen to the Dhamma, he has wrong view, micca ditti, and because of wrong view, he misconducts himself in body, speech, and mind. and then because of that, he goes to a woeful plane of rebirth. So it's very important to know the Dhamma so that we lead a skillful life. 3.22 Sammadittika Sutta. Monks, I have seen beings who practice good conduct by body, speech and mind, who do not vilify the noble ones, who hold right view and perform various deeds because of their right view. When the body perishes, those beings are reborn after death in a good born, a heavenly world. I say this, monks, without having learnt it from another recluse or Brahmin. It is just because I myself have known it, seen it and observed it that I say, monks, I have seen beings who practice good conduct by body, speech and mind, reborn after death in a good born, a heavenly world. An individual here with a rightly directed mind, who utters right speech and performs right deeds, one of much learning, who does much merit in this short life, upon the perishing of the body, that wise one is reborn in heaven. 3.23 Nissaraniya Sutta. Monks, there are these three elements of escape. What three? The escape from sensual desires, that is renunciation. The escape from form, that is the formless. And the escape from whatever has come to be, from whatever is conditioned and dependently arisen, that is cessation. These, monks, are the three elements of escape. Having known the escape from sensual desires and the overcoming of forms, one whose energy is always ardent reaches the stilling of all volitions, sankhara. Such a monk who sees rightly is thereby well released, accomplished in knowledge, at peace. That sage has overcome all bonds. If we still have a self, we still want this and we want that. And because of wanting to do this and do that, so we have volitions. Volitions, you can say, intentions also. Once you have volition, sankhara, if you look into dependent origination, sankhara conditions vijnana, consciousness. Once you have volition in will, you use your will, then consciousness continues. So it's only when a person doesn't desire anything more, no more desires, then he has no more volitions, no more intentions, then consciousness will naturally stop. 3.24 Santatara Sutta. Monks, the formless is more peaceful than the form realm, and cessation is more peaceful than the formless. Those beings who reach the form realm and those established in the formless, if they do not know cessation, come back to renewal of being. Those who fully understand forms without getting stuck in the formless are released into cessation and leave death far behind them, having touched with his own person the deathless element free from clinging, having realized the relinquishment of clinging, his asavas all gone, the fully enlightened one proclaims the sorrowless state that is void of stain. When a person attains the rupa jhanas, he is in the form realm. And when he attains the arupas, he is in the formless. But when he attains cessation of perception and feeling, or nirodha samapatti, then the sixth consciousness stops. 3.25 Putta Sutta. Monks, there are these three kinds of sons not found existing in the world. What three? The superior kind, the similar kind, and the inferior kind. Now what, monks, is the superior kind of son? In this instance, a son has a mother and father who have not gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, who do not abstain from taking life, from taking what has not been given, from wrong conduct in sensual desires, from false speech, and from intoxicating drink leading to negligence, who are unvirtuous and of bad conduct. But the son is one who has gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, who abstains from taking life, from taking what has not been given, from wrong conduct in sensual desires, from false speech, and from intoxicating drink, leading to negligence, who is virtuous and of good conduct. This monks is the superior kind of son. Now what monks is the similar kind of son? In this instance, a son has a mother and father who have gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, who abstain from taking life, etc., and are virtuous and of good conduct. And the son also is one who has gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, who abstains from taking life, etc., who is virtuous and of good conduct. This monks is the similar kind of son. Now what monks is the inferior kind of son? In this instance, the son has a mother and father who have gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, who abstain from taking life, etc., of virtuous and good conduct. But the son is one who has not gone for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, who does not abstain from taking life, etc., unvirtuous and of bad conduct. This monks is the inferior kind of son. These monks are the three kinds of sons found existing in the world. The wise wish for a son who is superior or similar. They do not wish for an inferior son, one who disgraces the family. But such sons in the world, who are devoted lay followers, excelling in faith and virtue, liberal without selfishness, shine forth in assemblies like the moon freed from clouds. 3.26 Itivuttaka Sutta. Monks, these three kinds of persons are found existing in the world. What three? One who is like a rainless cloud, one who reigns locally, and one who reigns everywhere. Now what kind of person, monks, is like a rainless cloud? Here a certain person is not a giver to anyone. He does not give food, drink, clothing, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, beds, lodging and lamps to recluses and Brahmins, to the poor, destitute and needy. This kind of person is like a rainless cloud. Now what monks is the kind of person who reigns locally? Here a certain person is a giver to some, but not a giver to others. Food, drink, clothing, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, beds, lodging and lamps he gives only to some recluses and Brahmins, to some of the poor, destitute and needy, but not to others. This is the kind of person who reigns locally. Now what monks is the kind of person who reigns everywhere? Here a certain person gives to all. He gives food, drink, clothing, vehicles, garlands, scents, ointments, beds, lodging and lamps to all recluses and Brahmins, to the poor, destitute and needy. This is the kind of person who reigns everywhere. These monks are the three kinds of persons found existing in the world. Neither to recluses nor Brahmins, nor to the poor and destitute does he distribute his store of food and drink and goods. That base person is called one like a rainless cloud. To some he does not give, to some he offers alms. That one wise people call one who reigns only locally. A person renowned for his bounty, compassionate towards all beings, distributes alms gladly. Give, give, he says, like a great storm cloud that thunders and rains down, filling the levels and hollows, saturating the earth with water. Even so is such a person, having righteously gathered wealth, which he obtains by his own effort. He fully satisfies with food and drink whatever beings live in need. Yesterday we heard that sutta, but the Buddha said, if only beings knew as I know the result of giving, they would not be stingy. And that is a very good sutta. 3.27 Sukapatthana Sutta. Monks, aspiring for these three kinds of happiness, a wise person should guard virtuous conduct. What are the three? Aspiring, may praise come to me, a wise person should guard virtuous conduct. Aspiring, may I become wealthy, a wise person should guard virtuous conduct. Aspiring, upon the perishing of the body at death, may I be reborn in a good born in a heavenly world. A wise person should guard virtuous conduct. These are the three kinds of happiness, aspiring for which a wise person should guard virtuous conduct. Aspiring for three kinds of happiness, the wise person should guard virtue. Praise, the obtaining of property, rejoicing in heaven hereafter. If one who does no evil associates with an evildoer, he is suspected of evil, and his disrepute grows. Whatever person one befriends, whomever one associates with, one becomes of like quality, one becomes like one's companion. The follower and the followed, one who contacts and one contacted, are like an arrow coated with poison that contaminates its quiver. Fearing contamination, the wise person should not have evil friends. A man who ties up putrid fish with some blades of kusa grass makes the kusa grass smell putrid. So it is with those who follow fools. But a man who wraps tagara powder in the broad leaf of a tree makes the leaf smell fragrant. So it is with those who follow sages. Therefore, as with the leaf container, understanding the outcome for oneself, the unvirtuous should not be followed. A wise person should follow the virtuous. The unvirtuous lead one to hell. The virtuous helps one reach heaven.